about the effects of language on social identity in Hong Kong communities. Hong Kong has long since recognized the discrimination in the city against ethnic minorities. From the government, in the policy address just recently in September 2018, our chief executive said ethnic minorities form an integral part of the community, but they've encountered difficulties in adaptation and social integration. Similarly, a very landmark study in this realm of social science and social justice in Hong Kong, conducted by the Zubin Foundation, the leading government think tank on ethnic minorities, found that ethnic minority youth feel that they grew up in a parallel universe in Hong Kong, meaning that they feel that their experiences are largely different to those of their Hong Kong Chinese counterparts. And this has very many reasons. So I think one of the reasons that is commonly attributed is actually language barriers. Language barriers meaning that the 92% of the Hong Kong population speaks Cantonese in their daily life, or 91. It's their usual language. So for those who don't actually speak Cantonese, it may be hard to integrate and to make friends and to participate in regular Hong Kong life. For majority, only 51% of ethnic minorities can actually speak Cantonese. So logically, many people attribute language as a barrier to social integration and adaptation in Hong Kong lifestyle. However, given this, there's inequality amongst ethnic minorities themselves. So while all ethnic minorities seem to be kind of alienated as referenced previously, even within the ethnic minority community, there is a segregation and there is a hierarchy. And evidence from this comes from both governmental sources and from the previous study that I mentioned by the Zubin Foundation. So, for example, the Home Affairs Bureau mentioned that there's intolerance against persons of South and Southeast Asian origins. But there are more than just people of South and Southeast Asian origins in Hong Kong. There are Caucasians, and there are other types of Asians, like Northern Asians and everything. So why is it just South and Southeast Asians? Well, a lot of sources point to the feelings of discrimination from Hong Kong ethnic Chinese towards South and Southeast Asians as because they are considered of a lower social status. And an indicator of this is actually median household earnings. So certain ethnic groups, such as Caucasians, actually have much higher median household earnings, amongst the highest in Hong Kong, where their median earnings are 46,000, compared to the average of all ethnic minorities, which is 20,000. So there's a marked difference there. And so this is also another point of evidence for inequality amongst ethnic minorities is that certain groups of ethnic minorities, so for example, South and Southeast Asians, they are labeled as ethnic minorities, whereas Caucasians are not, which is very curious because ethnic minority, by definition, is somebody who is not of the ethnic majority, which in Hong Kong is the Hong Kong Han Chinese, ethnic Han Chinese. So in a lot of the studies that I found, it's actually very apparent that Caucasians are not included in the sample. So also with the previous study that I mentioned, the Zubin Foundation study, there are Caucasians are not included in the sample. So the label ethnic minority actually takes away from a Hong Konger's identity. So meaning that there is that inequality of belonging within the community. And so this leads me to kind of towards where I'm going with this presentation. Language has been commonly seen as a tool for integration for ethnic minorities. So Hong Kong has really tried to push or advocate for ethnic minorities to learn Cantonese as a tool to integrate. However, there might actually, as denoted by this graduate study on Hong Kong social structures and ethnic minorities, it seems that language is only a secondary issue. The primary issue would actually be social structures. And then the learning languages might not actually be the solution to everything. So this leads me to my research question. So given the differential treatment between Caucasians and South and Southeast Asians compared to the Hong Kong ethnic majority, or the ethnic Hong Kong Chinese in Hong Kong, how do the social identities of Hong Kong-born Caucasians and South and Southeast Asian teenagers differ, and to what extent has their Cantonese language proficiency affected their identities? Sorry, I just edited this recently, which is why there's a little bit of a typo, because I just changed my method as of yesterday. So, so essentially this is asking, how does Cantonese affect the sense of belonging of these two groups, Caucasians and South and Southeast Asians, and how does it indicate any sort of difference between the two? So to answer this question, I have to also delve into a sub-question, which is, do Hong Kong-born Caucasians and Southeast Asians experience different senses of belonging in Hong Kong? And I won't go into this too much now for the sake of time, but I will be measuring this sense of belonging. Sense of belonging will be a measure of identity and social identity, which is basically how one perceives themselves and how others perceive you. So it's your sense of your place in the world, essentially. And so language has been found to impact identity from other notable sources, and it's especially in Hong Kong, where similar studies have noted that people who can speak Cantonese feel that they can be more integrated in Hong Kong. But again, Caucasians are not included in this sample, which indicates a gap in the literature. So people need to be aware of how Cantonese might actually affect Cantonese integration and Caucasian integration and Caucasian sense of belonging in Hong Kong. So methodology, as I mentioned, I just changed this yesterday because I realized a very big problem with my methods, which was that I could not find teenage participants. So my initial plan was to kind of recruit or kind of sought out through snowball sampling methods South and Southeast Asian teenagers that were born in Hong Kong, as well as Caucasian teenagers that were born in Hong Kong. There were not that many that were willing to get back to me for focus group interviews. So I kind of resulted to a mixed methods survey, a mixed methods data collection, which seems like it would be more complicated, but I promise it's not, because the first bit will be a 3-part survey, which looks like this a little bit. So it's a little bit more lengthy. So I plan to contact various NGOs and stand outside bus stops and kind of find places where I can meet the people that belong to the demography that I hope to study, and kind of give them the survey. So I have plans to do so very, very soon. And so with this, I also contacted before with my failed methods a group of people who were actually willing to do focus group interviews. So as a supplement to the data that I will find, the quantitative data that I will find through the 3-part survey, I can hopefully find kind of quotes and anecdotal evidence to support some of the numerical findings that I had before. So that is the plan as of now. Hopefully it will work out very soon. But thank you for your attention.